Hello, this is Dr. Bolio transmitting from Southern California, and today we will be touching on a subject that is causing extreme pain on people who are trying to lose their excess body fat. And we are talking about weight. There's nothing that causes more pain and more anguish with people who are trying to lose their excess fat than this situation. And I do hope that with this transmission, you will understand exactly what weight has to do with excess body fat. And once your mind is filled with the right information, this should affect your emotions in such a way that you leave the scale in the right way. Don't be afraid of weighing yourself, and don't make the wrong conclusions if your weight goes up or down. And we're going to be understanding that much better once you have finished this session. And so please do not skip it. It's basic for you to obtain permanent loss of excess body fat. Now, what's the definition of excess body fat? Well, it turns out that by definition, it does not take into account total body weight. Excess body fat has nothing to do with weight. You see, a person is considered obese when they have, if they're a woman, it's 30% of their body is excess body fat, or if they're a man, if 20% of their body is fat, excess body fat. That means that women have more fat than men, obviously. I mean, women have mammary glands, their glutes are different. But anything, and that's the point, anything less than these percentages is considered normal. Now, it might not be considered aesthetic. That could be. It could be that a person does not look like a model, like a TV model, but it's not. It's not health problems. It's not associated with complications in health. And the other part, it turns out that people who actually look normal, it could very well be that they have excess body fat, even when they have a normal weight. So just be very careful that you make the right diagnosis. Now, total body weight is only an approximation of percent of body fat. It's only an approximation. Don't go crazy on your weight. Now, total percent of body fat is more easily determined by volume than by weight alone. Now, there are 7 ways to measure percent of body fat, and we will talk about these 7 different strategies. Some are very difficult to obtain, very difficult to do. Others are very simple. And so we'll start with the number 1, which is water displacement and weight. And what happens is that there's this big tub full of water, and so the person first is weighed outside of the tub. Then he or she walks into the tub, and so they see how much water is displaced by their body, and at the same time fat floats, and so the weight that the person is having in the scale is going to be different from the weight that they have outside of this water tank. And so through specific equations, they can figure out how much fat they have in their body. Now, this is research, okay? You're not going to be able to get it. You would have to go to a specific university that does these things, and not all of them do. Now, there is one, a fantastic one, which I do want to share with you guys, and that's with tape measurements. Now, go to this webpage. It's called bizcals.com/body fat Navy. And it turns out that the U.S. Navy, the United States Navy, has established a series of equations that will help you identify what percentage of body fat you have. And this is what if you go to this webpage, it's called bizcals.com, you will find this formula. And so what do you do here? Well, you put your name on it. It says body fat estimate by the U.S. Navy formula, and according to them, and it's extremely close to the one that it's body water displacement, which is like the number 1. It's like the basic way to establish percent of body fat. So you would put your title, your name. Now you can decide whether you do it either U.S., which is actually English measurements. But since if you're in the U.S., then we'll call it U.S. It's pounds. or inches, or if it's metric, then you would use kilograms and centimeters. So first of all, you have to decide which one you have to measure, and then you decide whether it's a man or a woman, because they have different body compositions. So it's really important to establish whether it's a man or a woman. Now here you would put in weight, how much weight your body is weighing as soon as you wake up after you've gone to the bathroom, no clothes on, which is metabolic weight. Then you put your height in feet and in inches. Then you measure your waist at your belly button. That's the navel, the belly button. And here it's 34. And then you measure your neck at the narrowest point, which is 16 inches. Once you add all these parameters, it turns out that you get your percentage of body fat. Now, these are my measurements, okay? I put these on my measurements. So I'm weighing 184, my height is 5.9 inches. But because of my waistline and my neck, it turns out that my body fat is 15%, which is, if you want to know what 15% looks like, I have uploaded pictures, and that's what a person looks like. They look fit. Exactly what it says down here, fit. Now, it does tell you how many total pounds of fat I have in my body, which is 28, but I didn't freak out because there's more information that you're going to receive. That's why I didn't freak out with this. And obviously, my lean fat mass is 156. Which is not bad, and that's why I am a fit individual. So guys, go into this this web page. You can find it in different places. All you have to do is put in body fat, Navy body fat calculator, and there's different web pages. This one I like the most. And if you want to know what percentage body fat you have, look at this. You need to know first your gender, your weight, 2, your height, 3, your waist, 4, and your neck, 5. These are 5 different parameters where weight is only one of them. It's only 20%. It's only 20%. So if you're thinking that you know exactly what's happening with your body, if you're not taking into account your height and your belly button circumference and your neck, you're wasting your time. You're just totally lost. You don't know what you're doing, okay? And why would you start something in ignorance when it's so difficult to lose excess body fat and keep it off? So please, if you are going to take into account weight, do this. And you are going to be surprised. You really are going to be surprised. Okay, so let's look at other ways of measuring. Okay, one is the calipers. And I don't know if they've measured your calipers. They did measure mine because we were doing research on obesity. But here's the thing. I had to create a national weight loss program. And it turns out that calipers are non-specific and depends on where they take the measurement, depending on the university. If another person from another university takes the same measurements, they're going to get a different result. So that's why I was not able to use calipers for a national program, because everyone who would take a caliper would have a different percent of body fat, and it could not have been published. Results could not have been published, okay? So calipers are very difficult to do and very extremely difficult to validate. Now, if a person does it, let's say you learn to do it, and then you keep on doing it on your own body, then yes, you are your own control, and so you can consider that whatever changes you are seeing in your calipers, they are true as long as you're being honest as to how you're doing these measurements. Now, there's another one that also causes a lot of anguish, and this is one that's it's called impedance. You know, these little things right here, they send electric signals. One go out, one signal goes out and then goes back in again. Here, the same thing on the other foot. And so you're sending electrical impulses, and the difference that comes back when they're calculated, that will give you a percentage of body fat. But see, here's the thing. I bought one of these scales, and then it turned out that I had 25% of body fat, when I knew, because of the previous table that I showed you, this one, I knew that I was 15% body fat. So I started playing around with these variables, and what I had to do is I had to change my age to 40 years. And so when I changed my age to 40 years, that's when my percentage of body fat came out to 15%. So I have the structure of a 40-year-old man, 40-year-old male. And since most 70-year-old males are very messed up and have a lot of loss of muscular mass, it's called sarcopenia, then that's why it was giving me this horrible measurement. I knew I wasn't 25%. I knew it. Why? Because I had taken my percentage of body fat. And so I said, okay, let's start playing around with it. And so when I finally took off my real age and I put in 40 years, that's when it came out to 15%. So again, if you're going to use these, don't 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 cut your don't cut your throat because it's saying some strange number, because it's extremely variable, extremely variable. It depends on just how nourished you are, how well you're doing your program. And most people who are doing my program have an excellent amount of muscle. Okay, so yeah, doctors, when the doctors see me, they see my weight. Oh, you're overweight, and according to this, you're obese. And then when I take my shirt off, oh, it's muscle. Okay, yeah, don't pay attention to what I told you. Okay, you're all muscle. So that's why you're weighing that. That's your weight. Okay. Now there's another one that's called hydrostatic weight. It's also extremely accurate, but again, it's a research facility, so we're not going to be able to do that. Now, there's another one which is really fun and really interesting. This is air displacement. You go into this bot pod, and supposedly people all the way up to 400 pounds can go into this place. I've never seen it before. I'd like to see them get into one of those. And so what they do is they put pressure in there, pressurized air, and so depending on how much pressure they have to put in to get to a certain amount, they have an equation. They have equations considering their weight and considering their age again. And so it's similar to this one, hydrostatic weight, but hydrostatic weight is like the main one. It's like the staples, the main one that where people can establish how much percent of body fat they have. Now there's another one that's also extremely accurate, and this is MRI or CT, magnetic resonance or computer tomography. These are really fantastic because they do tell you your percentage of body fat. They also tell you where you're accumulating excess body fat. So you know if it's in your chest, if it's in your neck, if it's in your abdomen, it's in your thighs. But these things cost between $500 and $1,000. So let's say you get a very cheap one for $500. Well, you would have to be checking every week, $500 every week. That would be $2,000 a month. If you got the money, then let's do it, in the time, because it takes time to do it. It takes over an hour for these things to get done. Yeah, if you want to spend that money. But, these are as accurate as this one. So you decide. You decide if you want to spend $2,000, that's fine. But if you want to go the U.S. Navy formula, then this is also, it says, according to them, it says between 1 and 2% difference. So I'm not going to fight 2%, okay? I'm not going to pay $2,000. And if I'm going to be losing excess body fat, it'll take me at least 2 to 6 months. So that's talking about $12,000. No, I'll take measurements, okay? So this is the other one. Now, here's the thing. These measurements that I talked about previously, they talk about total body fat. But it turns out that there are two compartments of body fat. One is structural fat and the other one is reserve fat. Now, we don't want to get into structural fat. Now, that's, that we don't want to we don't want to get into that. We don't want to lose that. We're going to be working with reserve fat. Now, what is structural fat? Well, it turns out that 80% of our brain is made up from fat. So if you want to lose all the fat in your body, then you're not going to have a brain anymore. And then you're going to be brain dead. And so you really won't know whether you reached your goal or not. So yeah, let's keep that 80% of fat in our brain, okay? Let's do that. Now, peritoneum, this is what helps our small intestine move around so that we can absorb nutrients. And precisely the peritoneum is surrounded by fat, and that's how it slides back and forth. And that's why our small intestine can move around and we can digest our food. Now, some people have more than 30% of peritoneum fat, and that's called intra-abdominal fat, and that is very dangerous for your health. This one, if it's over 30%, you do want to get rid of it. Yes, you do want to get rid of that one. Okay. Now, the cell wall. It turns out that 30% of our cell wall is made from fat. So if we did not have fat, if we decided, we're going to take away every last ounce of fat that we have in our body, we would not have cell walls, which means we would not have cells, which means we would not have a body, which means we would not be able to do it. Okay? So stop being ridiculous. Stop thinking, oh, I'm so angry with body fat. No, you're not. No, you're not. Now, the female mammary gland, it's 90% fat. Okay, so the woman has a double D breast. That's not obesity. That's just a big breast. Okay, it might not be aesthetic. It might be painful to the chest, to the upper back, because there's too much weight. Yes, I do understand all that, but it's not obesity. It's not associated with all the problems that obesity brings. And here's the last one, hormones. Hormones come from fats. Hormones are fats. So if we did not have fats in our body, we would be androgynous. We wouldn't be man and woman. We wouldn't need someone else to procreate. We'd be, androgynous. We would be creating our own new beings. And so I think it's more fun to have fats in our body. Okay, yeah, fats make it way more fun, way more fun. Okay, just think about this. Humanity would not exist without fats. Okay? It's that simple. So stop hating fat. Fear or anger of fat is based on ignorance. And once you've heard this, once you've read this, please let your mind get filled with the right information so that your mind can start reining in your terrible negative emotions. Because if you're feeling angry with fat, it's because you're ignorant. It's not anger with fat, it's excessive ignorance. Okay? Now, we should not hate fat, definitely. It's that simple. Okay? It's the same as hating being a human being. It could be that you hate being a human being, and everyone has the right to hate or love whatever they want. But how about this? It turns out that fish, on the average, have only 1% of total body fat. So maybe you should consider being reborn as a fish if you believe in rebirth. So maybe you could say, okay, universe, next time I want to become back as a fish because I won't only have 1%. Oh wait, I forgot. Salmon has more than 1%, and tuna also has more than 1%. So the bigger the fish, the more the percentage of body fat. So you gotta be a really teensy fish in order to not only have at most 1% of body fat. Okay? Now, I'll stick to humanity, okay? And I think you should too. Now, here's the other thing. We should not even hate reserve fat. We should not hate it. We should not hate it. It's thanks to reserve fat that humanity has been able to survive famine. How do you think we survived the Ice Age? How do you think humanity was able to move from one continent to another without having access to food? It was because they had reserve fat, and when there was no food, there was fat there, so that humanity did not disappear. Okay? So, no, reserve fat has a reason, not today, not in the 21st century, but you know what? Think about this. Humans that were able to survive famine are your ancestors. So your great-great-great-great-great-great-grandfather and your great-great-great-great-great-great-grandmother, they were able to survive a famine because they had reserve fat. So you might as well get angry at your grandparents, or you might as well get angry at yourself because you're alive. You're alive thanks to reserve fat. Okay? Now, yes, that's true. We're in the 21st century, and now we have excess reserve fat, and that's the one that we have to get rid of. Now, what do we do? Because we just realized that weight is not the best option. And the other one, like taking measurements and then putting into the equation that webpage that I gave you, it takes time, and there's other options that are way more practical. Okay? So let's see the practical ways to find out whether you are losing what you want to lose. Okay? And guess what? It's not weight. It's not weight. Okay? So let's see what we could do. Okay. Obviously, you can use the measuring tape. Now you can use the measuring tape and weigh yourself, and then put in all the variables in the table that I showed you. Or the other one, just start measuring different parts of your body and to see what's going on. That's how I discovered that you can lose excess body fat in specific areas of the body, because I did measure my patients, and I saw that some people would lose abdominal fat, some people would lose gluteal fat, some people would lose fat from shoulders, some from arms. And, if someone says that you cannot do targeted fat loss, it's because they haven't measured their people. They haven't noticed that, yes, we can establish loss of fat in specific parts of the body. But you do need a lot of practice, okay? You do. I've made my own mistakes, and I found out that, oh my God, I thought I was getting fat when I wasn't. Or worse still, I thought I was getting skinny when I wasn't. Okay? So you gotta have a lot of practice. And the measuring tape, have to go together with your clothes that fit. But you do have to find non-elastic clothing, because they have to fit well. Okay, so you have non-elastic clothing that fit well, and then you suddenly see that they're starting to fit loose on you. Then it's very probable that you are losing volume. Now there's the other one, non-elastic clothing that do not fit anymore. A lot of people have clothes in our closet that we love so much that we don't want to get rid of them, hoping that someday will fit. Okay, get those clothes out and try them on every single day. Okay, it might turn out that little by little you'll be seeing that, you know what, they are starting to fit a little better. Now, don't expect to lose 10 inches in one day. Don't be ridiculous, okay? So if they don't go past your hips, okay, let's see how far they go past my hips. Okay, now I can bring them up half an inch higher. That's wonderful. Now it's another inch. Now, yay, I went past my hips, but they're not closing in my belly. That's fine. See how much you need to pull on it for it to close, and then just be watching how volume is going down and how every day it's easier for you to try to close those clothes that do not fit anymore. They have to be non-elastic, okay? Now here's the other one. Why don't you take a picture? I mean, you can definitely tell in this lady that she has lost excess volume, and you really don't need the weight to know that she's doing fine. Now, if you notice, even her hands are thinner. Her arms, her forearms, her waistline, her breast did not go down. Actually, it's better than it was before. Okay, so hey, this lady's doing fine, and I know because she's one of my patients. Okay, yes, and you can even tell that her abdomen was sagging, and it's sagging less now. And that's why I know that she's doing my program right, because that's what happens to people who follow my program. Their abdomen goes back up again, And that's the wonderful thing about pictures. Now, okay, you do hate your body. You hate taking pictures. But if you really want to be honest, you want to do things right, take your picture. Take your picture. Don't fret it. That's the best option. Okay? Now, these are pictures of ladies who uploaded their on the internet, how they look at all these ladies. They look at her, look at this lady, look at this lady. They all maintain the same weight. And this lady is 7 years difference. Can you imagine? This was after 7 years, and she's still weighing the same. Who's going to tell her, hey, you better get on the scale and lose weight because you're doing something wrong? Or this one, hey, wait a minute, you got to lose weight because you have not lost 1 pound, 1 ounce, and this is not good for you. Don't be ridiculous. You can tell it has nothing to do with weight and everything to do with volume. Okay, so the best fat loss programs in the world are those that make you lose volume without losing weight. Okay? That's the thing. You want to gain muscle while you lose volume, because that's where you burn fat in your muscle. So the more muscle you have, the easier it is for you to maintain the fat that you lost, the loss of excess body fat. Okay? So losing fat without losing weight is actually fantastic. Okay, fantastic. So go on the internet and download fat loss programs that really give you what you need, not what you think you need. Everyone goes for weight loss. Oh, I want this one make me lose this one's going to lose that. And no one ever talks about volume, except me. I do insist on you guys, come on, take your pictures or measure your body. Now, if you want to make an appointment, that'd be fantastic. But you do have to understand that in my program, it's volume over weight. And obviously, if you take your pictures down, upload them so we can show off how people can lose excess volume without losing excess weight. Okay, well, I hope this was wonderful for you. This is Dr. Bolio again, transmitting from Southern California, and may God bless you.